Well, because of the pandemic, kids are using tablets and laptops now more than ever. And now parents are concerned about how much they use social media and their safety on social media. Sydney Stallworth has some tips for us.
More kids are spending time online during the pandemic. The risks are high, and parents are saying they're seeing a change. One survey by Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago says 63% of parents are noticing their kids spending more time on social media. I spoke with one psychotherapist who says parents might have reason to be concerned.
This can cause some negative impacts on their self-esteem, on their confidence, and just their ability to communicate, in person.
Kids are making their way online at younger ages each year.
That are in their first developmental stages. And so now they do not have school to help them build this self-esteem and confidence. So we have to be mindful that a lot of times they may be comparing themselves to the other people that they see, the successors that others look like. These outside influences begin to influence them.
Vega says without the vital face-to-face contact in school, their social skills could begin to lack.
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. So we want to be mindful that with all of these social medias, we're still able to have that verbal in-person communication.
Some young people feel more comfortable posting about their feelings than talking with their parents, and their posts could indicate that they're struggling with depression, anxiety, or suicidal thoughts.
Our younger people are using social media as an outlet, and they can be expressing negative feelings and emotions because it's a great way for them to simply say it and then dismiss it.
Be sure to keep an eye on your kids' posts, and if they're younger, consider putting a time limit on social media sites and talk to them about cyberbullying, cyberstalking, and other risks. Putting the Valley first, Sydney Stallworth, WZDX News.